Welcome back, everybody. So, steering head bearings. This is what I meant when I said they were like caged. So they're enclosed here. They're still ball bearings, but they're in a cage. You got the inner race and you got the outer, and grease them up, and that's that. Now there's two different sizes, the larger hole and the smaller hole. The larger goes to the bottom where the steering neck comes up through, and the smaller hole goes on the top. So we have to start by driving these in. So that's my race right in there. This is where it comes in handy to keep an old one that you took out. Just make sure you don't knock this one in too and get this one stuck. Sometimes it's hard to tell unless you can feel it, whether it's in all the way. You know how this goes. Just pack up the bearings good. Make sure you got it going right through everything. Do the same to the top and bottom. Now, one thing about this style bearing is it only goes in one way. If I flip it over, it's not going to fit right in the race. So it has to stay one way when it goes in there. On the lower tree, I have a grease seal that's going to go in there. I have to get the nut and everything, because once I put this in there, I've got to lock it down. You know, I'm going to be holding it up with one hand, and if I don't have the nut, I'm going to end up taking it back out again, or it's going to fall. Okay, that was actually a chore, driving this down onto the stem. I used my piece of PVC tubing and really wail on it. Okay. So I got my bearings on it. I'm going to throw a little more grease on them. Then I'm going to put them up, put the top one on, and the nut. So I took these bearings back out again. The races too. Garbage. When I tightened them, tried to get them to seat properly, they never did. They felt very clunky. I tried to reseat the things, they just never worked, and the cages got damaged somehow when I tried tightening them. So yeah, that wasted days now before I get another set. I guess I'll go with tapered and try that. It is pouring outside today. You won't be able to see it. Or maybe you can hear it. Amazon has the correct tapered bearing set. Some people say it's taller, so we'll find out. But they should be here tomorrow. In the meantime, I guess I can start putting the rear together. Okay, not sure how this is going to work out. Because once I put the weight on it, it's probably going to try to drag this side down. I don't want to bend my brake rod or anything, so we shall see how this works out. I've got spacer, got the adjusters, I got my axle and my wheel. I'm going to put some grease, of course, on the axle. I should get my rubber mallet ready. because as you know as well as I do, this thing's not going to go in that easily. So let's see. Put one of these in. The axle. The spacer. And then the wheel. And I have the spacer already on the other side of this wheel. Then we just have to slide the other adjuster in. That's the theory anyway. All right, as predicted, better get this other adjuster ready. I guess I got to spread it apart a little bit. There we go. All right, I can hook up the brake arm, the brake lever. I gotta find out if there's a washer, a nut. I gotta get the nut for that. Yeah, then we'll tighten that up. So I have the rear brake stay on. I have the brake rod on, which will have to be adjusted. I have my shock bolts and washers here. I also have a new grab rail for here. I think it's a reproduction. Don't tell anyone. I swore I had a new castle nut for this. Maybe it was the one I bought for this, but I thought I had one here. But you want to know what I'm proud of? My rear fender. I did the body work on this and painted it. This is an authentic KO rear fender. I do have a reproduction front fender that came from, I think, Vietnam, but this actually is a rear KO fender. I have to put the damper on there. I have to put the taillight assembly on, which I painted as well. Yeah, then I can probably throw this on the bike and maybe put the rear shocks on. So I got this rubber cushion for the taillight on there. I put these cushions in. They didn't come, well, I can't see on the picture anywhere where it says that they had those metal sleeves inside there, which means it would have just squished the rubber and eventually wore it out. I mean, how can you really tighten the bolt if you're just, against rubber? So I put those sleeves in there so the bolt will be against the sleeve, against the frame holding it, and the fender will just be on like a rubber cushion. All right. I also had to get a tail light bracket. Again, I painted this. I mean, I suck at bodywork, so for me to be proud of something, that's something for me. All right, I got to put this whole taillight assembly together next. So we have the bracket. and we ran the wires from the socket part through the bracket. Now there's two more parts. This piece, which goes over there, and then this piece, which goes here. All these plates line up. And then we put two screws through here to hold that, and then the lens will go over that. I did put a bulb in the socket, and before I put the lens on, let's see if this works. There's the parking light. So this should be the brake light. There we go. All right, I'll put a gasket and lens on it, and then we should be all set. Get the gasket for it. Fits weird. New taillight lens. And two new screws. Tighten those up, and we'll put it on the fender. First thing I had to do was get those wires through this tube. And now from the back, I can put these bolts in. Now let's try to get this fender on the bike. Not knocking the bike over. That would be nice. Okay. Let's see if we can get the ones in here to start. May have to drop this rear tire. So I can get enough room to get my hand in there to put this fender on. What's going on with this bolt? Should go in there. Just put a bolt in to hold this up. Okay, I got the front ones in. Now these, the bolts I have, I think are a little too long. Let's see what I got. So these are my reproduction shocks, which it says it doesn't fit this year. I don't know why they make a reproduction shock and then have it not listed for this year, but I'm sure it does fit because I measured it against the CB350 4-cylinder, and those shocks fit this, and these shocks are made for that. So let's see if we can get this rear end up high enough. With the bike down low enough. All right, that's going in. I got to put a washer and nut on there. That fit just fine. Let me get a wrench for that. Gotta make sure that that lines up when I tighten this up. Okay. Do the other side. Come on, admit it. Some of you were skeptical when I got this project. But it's getting there. I gotta clean up the chrome and stuff because, you know, my hand's touching it when I was installing everything, being greasy. All right, so that's it for me for today, but I'll be back with you in a minute or so. Well, new day for me. So Amazon said that the bearings will be here today, but they won't be here till probably sometime between 5 and 7 p.m. That's okay because I can put them, the races, in the freezer overnight and let them chill down so they're easier to install. What I will do though, I think, is I'm going to try to set this engine in here. That'll be a big job for today. Let's get that started. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments. Why didn't you put tape on the frame or protect the frame or something from putting the engine in? Powder coating's pretty durable. It didn't chip, it didn't scratch. We're good. Even if it did give it a little nick, I don't think anybody would ever notice, but nothing down to the metal, that's for sure. So, here we have this. I could put the rest of the mounts in probably, put the toolbox back in. Yeah, not bad for a couple days work. I didn't have anything on the frame just till the other day. All right, we'll continue. The top bracket's in. I'm going to do the rear one with the toolbox, and then we're gonna see if we got the right spacers for here once everything's lined up. And if we do, good, and if we don't, then we gotta make another solution for that. Okay, I put the rear mount and the toolbox in, except the bolts are way too long, so I have to trim them down. Like that one should only be maybe like that long instead of twice as much sticking out. But I know that that fits, that one's in. So now let's try this front mount. All right, let's see what we got here. So if this goes here, that means the matching one, this one's actually the one that goes over there. Ah, geez, I always get squirrels running across my roof here. I need one more hand over here. Right now it looks promising. So what they are, these little 10mm spacers. Oh, I remember this. I can't have this bolt all the way in. That's right. I remember that now. What I should do is grind off some of that excess that's hitting the fins. Yeah, that's the only safe way, is to grind out a little corner of this. I trimmed down my bracket here so it would fit without hitting these fins. And I put my bolts in, and those spacers worked out just great. So 20 millimeter on each side, two 10 millimeter spacers each. So that's 8 altogether. After I threw out the other bearings, my tapered bearing showed up. Much better, no notchiness. The other ones would be like stiff, stiff, loose, stiff, stiff, loose. So there was definitely something wrong with those, or the way I put them in, which is very possible, very possible. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave this one. We'll put the front end in it next time, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.